It's hard not to love, I guess. I hated and loved him. Not hurt to not have had that normal father-daughter relationship. And even with my mother.
Was that the reason why you decided not to have children? So, what conflicting emotions did you feel about your family, love, hate, guilt, hope?
Well, as I said, when my father died, and so I made the decision when I was in the inpatient program to keep my mother in my life. I just couldn't. I couldn't walk away from her. And I write that, therapists, even my friends, some people disagreed with my choice, even therapists. So by default, keeping my mother in my life meant keeping my father in my life. And I tolerated him. It's hard not to love, I guess. I hated and loved him, but I more hated him toward the end. I feel sorry for him. I do. I feel like God, he could have been such a better person. I don't know what caused this, and I am conflicted about him because I don't know if he did anything to someone else. I never will know that. I incest or pedophilia is a crime of opportunity, and incest is a little different, but I don't know. He wasn't around young children much, so hopefully he did not. But I felt only relief when he died. I really did. I was like, okay, you can have him. Universe. Wherever he is, he is. But I had to keep him in my life to keep her. And that was, it was hard. With my mother, writing the book was hard because I still felt like I still felt like I was betraying her, and I had to come, that's why I went back into therapy was, because I had, unfortunately, my mother failed me. I mean, there was no other way around it. She failed to protect me. She was not a good mother, and on the most, basic ways, and it doesn't mean I can't love her, and I did forgive her ultimately. But it's been hard, writing the book. My sister, my true love, my best friend, and I would not have published this book without my sister's consent. She's read the book, and she's read it a couple times. And I had her read it both for accuracy, because a lot of this was from memory, and also I needed her blessing because this is her life too. The focus of the book is me, but it's her life too. So it's complicated. Sometimes, I married into a big family, and I see things, and I was at an event with one of my brother-in-laws. My sister-in-law was working, so I stepped in for a niece and went to an event. And my brother-in-law his daughter was one of the daughters. She was graduating from college and was so proud. She's a fashion designer, and she did a little fashion show, and we were all there, my brother-in-law, her sister, and her sister's fiance. And I felt a moment of like sadness, because to have a normal father who was just proud of his daughter. I was at a wedding, and the father gave a toast. It was one of my cousin's daughters, and her husband gave a toast to the daughter. And there are moments where I see fathers, like I have a lot of fathers in my life, with daughters, and I watch them, and I think, God, these girls don't know how blessed they are. But it hurts a little bit. It will never not hurt to not have had that normal father-daughter relationship. And even with my mother, I wish things could have been different, but they weren't. What can you do? This is a family that I had, and all I can do is, I love my sister. We're older women now, and my hope is that my father did not do anything to someone else, and that if he did, that I am any of my royalties for this book, I'm giving to both to rape and treatment centers and RAINN. And my hope is that through any advocacy work I do, I can make amends to that person. I could not have reported my father. Back then, it wasn't really much of an option, truthfully. I don't know what I would have done today, but I I don't know. I could not have, I was too afraid of destroying my family. And, I couldn't have. And I don't know that it's up to the victim to fix society, truthfully. It's a really interesting question.
It it takes collaborative effort,
Yeah.
not just the victims, everybody, perpetrators, the government, the
Yeah.
survivors, everybody needs to come on deck.
Yeah, it's very difficult. So, especially for children. But, I think about this a lot.
Was that the reason why you decided not to have children?
I did not have children because I did not feel for a long time that I was stable enough to have children. Um I don't know if I really decided not to. I didn't. I tried later, but it was too late. I did not feel stable enough to have children. And then when I did, finally, and I also didn't want to have children alone. And when I did finally feel both stable enough and that I had a partner who would be a good father, and it was already, biologically a little too late. And maybe today there's more things, but we decided, my husband and just to, I did have a miscarriage at one point, and I write about that in one of the stories I wrote. And we decided to let things go and just leave it up to God and the universe. And so, but yes, I would not have brought a child into the world unless I felt absolutely ready to do so. And I was not. I could not, I would not have put that dysfunction on any living person.
Do empathize with you, and I know where you're coming from because it would have been very difficult for you and possibly traumatic or tumultuous, because when you start reliving what you went through,
Yeah.
it's not so great.
And I have all the, I mentor a lot of young women, and I have 10 nieces and nephews. My sister has a daughter, and then there's 9 other ones on my husband's side. So a lot, and now we've got greats. So we got 3 greats. So nieces and through 1 great niece and 2, and actually we've got 4 greats. 1 great because one just came. 1 great niece and 3 great nephews. So I have and I get to do the work I do at Stewart House, be the play lady with children. So I have children in my life, and my heart is open to other people's children.
And you're doing a great job, tremendous work, with the youngsters in the rape center. It takes love to do that. Well done.
Yeah,
So
and that's
you're a mother, if you, whether you agree or not, you're also a mother, tending to those children. If you don't have the nurturing tendencies, I don't think you would have been able to do that as well.
the girls I mentor always send me something on Mother's Day, and my biological niece and my other nieces and everyone. I do feel that I am giving to everyone, to the children in my life. So to the best, of my abilities. So I do feel, and I'm really lucky. So it doesn't have to be biological all the time. And yeah, but I would not have at that point, could not have kept that family circle. I don't know what happened to my mother. I suspect something might have, although I know that it wasn't my grandfather on that side. I do know that my father allegedly, and I write about this, was abused as a child. And, the cycle of abuse does continue.
Thank you for sharing this. Be safe and be positive. And don't forget to check out our social media handles. Thank you. Bye for now.